Alex P versus Jiri.
Can we address this right now? All the comments are like, DJ has no idea how to say Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
You cannot say it.
I'm just going to say Alex P. Conor McGregor is out of his fight with Michael Chandler.
Every other reporter is just silent.
Yeah, I know why they're silent, because if they say something, they're going to get their credentials taken away. That's why. I was in the UFC from 2011 to 2018. 6 of those years, I was a champion. Put that in your cup and smoke it, chat. Jake Paul taking on Mike Perry. I'm super excited about that.
Wait.
Well,
we didn't talk about the most important topic.
Oh, God.
Bradley Martyn versus Logan Paul.
My honest opinion,
Did you know Bradley Martyn's 260, though?
I mean...
Oh, it's 15-time world champion, Demetrious Johnson. You're listening to the MightyCast.
Don't be afraid. Shit. All right, I'm about to cook the out this one. I've been coming for you, motherfuckers. All right. All right, in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the MightyCast. And I am your host, Demetrious Johnson, and my co-host, Michael Wandover, are your guys, entertainment for this week on the MightyCast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a lot of shit going on in the world of combat. And I'm going to start first. What's on the top of my mind is Conor McGregor is out of his fight with Michael Chandler. Now, I know a lot of people, when we heard this news, a lot of us were pissed off. A lot of us were sad. A lot of people thought this fight was never going to happen to begin with. Now, when we look at this fight with Conor McGregor, he's been out for a very, very long time. The last time we saw him fight was when he took on Dustin Poirier. He suffered that nasty leg injury, and that was something hard for him to come back from. And now he suffered another injury that pulled him out of his fight with Michael Chandler. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you guys, when an athlete is getting ready for competition, it's a little bit different than other sports. Football, basketball, baseball, MLB, and baseball are the same shit. But when it comes to combat sports, we want to be at our best on the night of the fight. That means body is at 100%. Your weight cut is super easy. Your diet's on point. With those things going into the fight, if one of the things goes wrong, which a lot of us athletes do, could be injured, for him, there's so much on the line. Who knows what the injury is? I saw RDA, he clapped back at him. He says, oh, why don't you just ice it? Because when they were about to fight, RDA pulled out, and Conor McGregor sent him a message saying, why don't you just put some ice on it? We don't know the extent of Conor McGregor's injury, but I can tell you this. I've been injured before. I was supposed to fight John Moraga in March, right after I defended my belt against John Dotson in Chicago in 2013. I signed a contract to fight John Moraga. During the training camp, I couldn't continue training. I had a labor tear in my shoulder. With that, I was forced to pull out of the fight. I got surgery in April. After the surgery in April, I turned around, defended my belt in July against John Moraga. So hopefully, as time goes on, we can figure out what was that injury that pulled Conor McGregor out of that fight against Michael Chandler. But until now, we have a lot of...
Did you see the picture of McGregor that's leading to some theories?
I did. You look at, he was at an orthopedic office.
No. So on Father's Day, actually, he posted a photo holding his son.
Yep.
And you could see in the shades he has like a cut, like kind of like right here.
Huh.
So people are saying it must have been a cut, which I think does make sense, because if you have a cut, right, your initial thoughts are maybe this will heal up in time for the fight, and they must have just realized, yeah, that's not going to happen. But that's the new theory out there. I would assume that photo was taken, near Father's Day, and it wasn't some old photo, especially because he has a baby, so it's not like, that seems like the proper age of his baby. And, so he has. It looks like the new theory people are saying is a cut, which would be a lot less concerning than an injury on his same leg that he broke, because that would sound very bad.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I know the fact that we have bald Conor, which I'm not a fan of bald Conor. I like Conor's hair. He's got that nice feathery hair like White Goodman. He moves back and forth inside the void, outside the void, doing his spinning back kick, looking for the right shot to land on his opponents. And all my lights just went out. What the fuck? Okay, 1 second. And pause him. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, let's get back on track. Now, Conor McGregor, the theory that Michael has brought to me and to you viewers is that he has a cut over his eye because he's wearing glasses. I mean, it's very hard to speculate on what exactly it is, but I mean, I can understand it could be a cut, but for me, my gut tells me it's going to be something that is orthopedic because he posted that picture of him at the orthopedic surgeon. I mean, once again, we're all speculating. Hopefully, eventually they'll come out, but I think the biggest thing that rubbed everybody the wrong way was a lot of sentiment. You know, Errol Helwani, good friend of the show, he was keeping up with the news of, is UFC 303 going to happen with Conor versus Michael Chandler? Nobody knew. A lot of people paid a lot of good money to go see that fight. And I hope everybody gets their refund because it's a different ball game when you have Conor on the card and they change it to Alex P versus Jiri. And
I like you're like Alex P. Can we address this right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
When we did the breakdown that we just did, the sparring of Alex, so you say Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Is how you say it. It's Pereira. So there's two ways you could say it. Is the most like I'd say like American way to say it is Pereira.
Yep.
You know, everyone's gonna say Alex Pereira, but I believe the way that John Anik says it is Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
And that's like it might be like a certain, you know, Brazil or Portuguese kind of way to say it. But I could say one thing though, Alex Pereira is not how to fucking say it. And all the comments are like, DJ has no idea,
dude,
how to say Alex Pereira.
If I had $1 for every single time somebody pronounced my first name wrong, I'd be a rich motherfucker.
Demetrious?
Dude, you have no idea. No idea. It'd be like Demetrius, Demetriasa. Like, it's fucking crazy. Or if people try to say Puyallup, they're like, Puyallup? Puyallup? It's like Puyallup. And when you hear Dana White say Alex P's name, he's like, Alex Pereira. I'm like, that's how you fucking say it. It's so from now on, I'm just going to say Alex P. That's what I'm going to say. Because I'm tired of everybody to fucking comment.
Pereira. Say Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
Alex Pereira.
You cannot say it.
Yeah, I can't. So I'm just going to say Alex P. So I hear everybody in the fucking comments. I go through
or just say Potan is probably better.
Potan. Alex Potan. But even when I said Potan one time, they said I said it fucking wrong. He goes, this motherfucker can't say that man's name. So I'm just going to say Alex P. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying Jiri wrong too, right? Am I saying Jiri wrong?
Yuri Prohaska.
Yuri Prohaska.
Jiri. I think it's either Yuri or Jiri.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
maybe we'll have Nick, who's in my studio right now. Maybe he'll try to find that out. But either way, I believe it's Yuri Prohaska.
We don't need you or the fucking Nick to figure out if it's wrong or right. The comments, the people of the community is gonna let us know we're fucking right? We're probably all fucking wrong. So each time I hear Dana White say it, I'm like, he's saying Pereira. That's how I hear it.
I would say, don't ever use Dana White as the example of how
Why
to say
not?
names.
Why not? He's a fucking
He doesn't know how to say his own fighters' names.
He's the fucking CEO of the UFC. I'm gonna go with him instead of you guys. So, okay, Alex P taking on Jiri. Okay, now let's get back on track, Michael. So, a lot of people paid a lot of good money to go see Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. The fight's not happening anymore. So, hopefully, everybody who brought tickets and all the traveling and all that stuff, hopefully they get a full refund, which I'm sure the UFC will do that. Now, flip side, what's going on, guys? This video is sponsored by GFUEL. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we all know GFUEL has amazing flavors for the energy formula. We're getting your caffeine along with the multivitamin, but now GFUEL has come out a brand new product. Boom! GFUEL Energy Plus Protein, caffeine and protein. You're gonna get 15 grams of whey protein along with 140 milligrams of caffeine. It's a perfect combination to take before you go to the gym. I enjoy taking protein and caffeine before I go to the gym. Caffeine is a great energy source. It's natural, and along with the protein, it's gonna help supplement your muscles and replenish the muscles and when you break them down. So if you want to give GFUEL, the brand new Energy Plus Protein, a try, all you got to do is go to gfuel.com. And when you do that, make sure you use my promo code MIGHTY. That'll help you save 20% on your complete order. They have some delicious flavors. They got cafe mocha, French vanilla latte, and they also have chocolate. If you guys out there and you love your caffeine and you love your damn coffee, look no further. Get the energy plus protein G Fuel, brand new product. Don't wait. Go to gfuel.com. Promo code Mighty. Back to the content. Michael Chandler. Now, I think out of everybody as an athlete, we are all getting older, and I equate our bodies to a ticking time bomb. It's only a matter of time till our bodies give out, right? I think every athlete who's been in mixed martial arts, not just MMA, but football, basketball, we can all equate to that analogy. Like, our bodies are a ticking time bomb. We're just one sparring session away from blowing our knee out. You look at Jamahal Hill, he pulled out of his fight because he had a knee injury. He drained some blood out of it, and now he's out of his fight because he was supposed to be on the exact same card. There's a lot of rumors going around saying that he faked an injury in order to get off that card because he wanted to be on the same card with Conor McGregor. But people don't understand, Jamahal Hill doesn't get pay-per-view points because he's not a champion anymore. So that settles that theory right there. But I think Michael Chandler, he's taking it good. He went back home with his family. He's staying in shape. He's drinking some of that tequila he owns. And I think for him, it's not a setback. It just gives him more time to refresh. I think the biggest thing when I look at Michael Chandler is I feel that he overtrains, but maybe it'll give him the time to go back home, kind of pull back on the gas, take his foot off the gas, get refocused, and come back even sharper and even more conditioned when he takes on Conor McGregor. So I think that was a shady thing because I was sad. I was super excited to watch Conor versus Michael Chandler, and now we got to wait even longer to see if it's eventually going to happen. It can happen in a Sphere, or it can happen at MSG. We have no idea because we don't know the extent of Conor McGregor's injury. And
no, and I would, not to interrupt you, but I want your honest opinion on this. Do you think Michael Chandler has overplayed his hand, or do you think it's still? Do you think this has still made sense for him at the end of the day if he gets the Conor fight, or do you think at this point he's kind of having regrets about it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's had multiple opportunities to fight for the belt. I feel like, right? Like he's not beating Charles Oliveira. He's not beating Dustin Poirier. I mean, like, I think the only two wins Michael Chandler has in the UFC that comes off the top of my head is Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker.
Those are the only two wins. So
those only two wins, right? And I mean, I think this is the probably biggest fight for him. I don't think he's an athlete who's looking for the money. I think he's looking for the biggest fight, and I think this is the biggest fight next to a world title fight. I mean, he could fight for the BMF against Max Holloway, but I think, as my gut tells me, this is probably the biggest fight for him. But once again, like I said, the only time we get paid is when we fight. And I think he's put so much time and invested into this. And the thing that people got to understand too, Conor McGregor has an injury. If it is a cut, okay, we can work around that. But if it's something with his labrum, knee injury, whatever it is, those injuries are still going to be with him when he goes back to training. It's not like, to let an injury heal perfectly, it takes 6 weeks. 6 weeks of light training, unless you're going to, put in some peptides 157 or TB 500, or you're going to do some type of steroid, which is banned on the USADA list. 6 weeks to heal something, and then you got to get back on the gas to get yourself ready for the fight. So, fingers crossed. I'm sitting good vibes. MMA gods. Hopefully Conor can come back from this injury and it's not a severe one. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping this fight happens this year for the fans' sake, Michael Chandler's sake, and Conor don't need a fucking fight. He's probably gonna buy another fucking yacht for all we know.
Yeah, and I usually don't like giving out our predictions, but now that this fight is pushed off to whenever it may be, right now, if you had to say, first of all, what is your prediction for this fight, and has it changed at all? Being delayed, has that changed at all who you think's going to win?
No, I don't think it's going to change. If anything, I think it helps Conor because, a couple weeks ago, he was partying and living his best life, but he might have had that Tiger Woods lifestyle, play hard, party hard, which I am a big fan of that. But I'm gonna have to go with Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor shows up and he's on point, he's snipering, and he hurts Chandler, which you look at Chandler's fights, this man's been hurt back in the Bellator days when he fought Eddie Alvarez. He's been hurt by Tony Ferguson. He's been hurt by everybody he fights. So if Conor can hurt him and not get overzealous, I have Conor winning him, beating him. But if Chandler can get on him like a bulldog that he is, and if Conor can't weather that storm, then Chandler's going to beat him. So if I had to pick, I'm going to go Conor McGregor, just because when I look at the past of all of Chandler's fight, he always gets hurt. And when Conor hurts you, it's pretty much, a domino effect how he's going to finish you.
Yeah, and one thing we kind of have to address, and you had mentioned it, do you think UFC handled this the right way? Because we had the press conference canceled. That was the day after UFC 302, so Islam Poirier.
Yep.
Very easily, UFC could have hypothetically at that point been transparent and said, hey, McGregor has an injury and that's why we had to do it. But instead, we had weeks of having no idea what's going on. Ariel Helwani's the only reporter who's reporting anything, and then he's getting shit for it when he's the only one trying. Every other reporter is just silent because they have no idea what's going on.
Oh, so I know why they're silent, because if they say something, they're gonna get their fucking credentials taken away. That's why. I'll tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you wonder why Ariel Helwani, he beats to his own drum. He can cover any sport however he wants, whenever he wants. And so for Ariel Helwani, that's why I think he's the best in the industry, because he isn't on anybody's payroll. Not saying everybody else is, right? But Ariel Helwani is always out there trying to get the main scoop. So I always take Ariel Helwani as my main source of mixed martial arts breaking news, I guess you could say, right? And do I think the UFC handled it perfectly? It's hard to say. I think transparency is always the best way to go about it. But once again, I'm not running a business that's worth $4 billion. And I don't know how. Honestly, for me, I would say, hey guys, we have to cancel the press conference because Conor McGregor has an injury. We're looking into it. We don't know if the fight's on or off. But once we know, we'll let you guys know once we figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, we are going ahead and looking for a replacement for the main event of 303. And that's how I kind of want to approach it. But once again, I don't run the company. I guess this is a good question for the fans to answer, right? Fans, in the comments, let us know, do you think the UFC how did they handle it? Did they handle it good or did they handle it shitty? Leave a comment. What do you think, Michael? You think they handled it good or what?
Yeah, it's so tough because I think they probably, as much as it pains me because I would love to shit on UFC, I actually think I think they really did do the right thing at the end of the day, because Jiri versus Pereira is, in my opinion, as a little bit more of a hardcore fan, that's a better fight than Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. So for the real diehards, the ones that maybe not the fans who are gonna only watch a Conor McGregor fight, which there's a lot of them, and I fully acknowledge that. But I'm just speaking for myself personally. You're getting a better fight. I really want to see Jiri Pereira again because the first fight had a total shit stoppage. I saw that. I don't know if you've watched that fight back. You did watch it back recently.
And I just broke the fight down again.
Yeah. And it was just, I hadn't seen it since the fight happened and I saw the stoppage again. You gotta let, in a heavyweight, have you seen Jiri Prochazka's fights? His last fight against Rakic, he takes an elbow straight to the face and keeps going, and then you stop. I just didn't love that finish. But I think you get a better main event. Then they're smart enough also. They know people are going to be like, hey, you just swapped Pereira and Jiri for McGregor Chandler. That's not enough. So then UFC already looks ahead and knows that, and they book a new co-main event. They get Diego Nunes versus Ortega, which maybe that's not going to be the most crossover appeal to casual fans, but it's one of those fights 100% will be a really good fight. I can't guarantee you what will happen, who will win, but it will be highly entertaining. Whoever wins will probably get a 145 title shot next. So huge co-main event. And then you still have, which to tell everyone, MVP is our next guest on MightyCast. You have MVP Ian Gary being the first fight of a pay-per-view card. It's so hard to complain about what that card ended up looking like. I would have preferred communication throughout, all that stuff, especially the fans who paid for the tickets, the international fans who were flying in. But even I have to admit, like, damn, Hunter Campbell and Dana did a pretty good job for a shit situation.
Dude, I'll say this right now. Hunter Campbell is fucking MVP when it comes to putting shit together. When you look, I love how now they're starting to show a little bit more of the UFC behind scenes of how everything is going on. I think it's on Roku. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think how the card turned out with the main event, co-main event, and you still got MVP take on Ian Gary. I still think it's a stat card. For me, I just would love to see Conor. I think he's so damn good. And I think Chandler's so damn good. Not taking anything away from Alex P or Jiri, but I'm a big Conor fan. I just love Conor. And I think we've been waiting so long to see him come back, right? I mean, I watched Roadhouse, amazing movie. It ain't better than the first one, I'll tell you that. But I think people are going to be very excited. And like I said, that co-main event, Diego taking on Brian Ortega, that's a fight where it came out of nowhere. That's one fight I didn't even think about, right? I know Diego's been on an absolute
tear. That's what I'm saying. UFC knew, okay, fans are going to shit all over us. Let's make a fan favorite fight that 100% people won't complain. And that's what happened. And I was close. I maybe want to send Aljo a text because I was a little bit surprised because I would have loved Brian Ortega for Aljo. And I thought that made a lot of sense. But I guarantee you, if we asked Aljo, he would probably say he wants to fight in August or September. So
I was just hanging out with Aljo in Vegas. When we talked
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. But he said right now he's just chilling and training, and he's trying to keep his weight under control. But he said nothing about fight news or anything like that. He said right now I'm just focused on helping Merab make all this good content. And them boys, Merab and him, and I don't know the guy's name who looks like Sugar Sean O'Malley, but Destiny was like, why is Aljo and Sean O'Malley hanging out? I was like, that's not Sean O'Malley. She goes, holy shit, he looks just like him.
I'm not going to lie, the thought has crossed my mind of having him in character on MightyCast, but the only thing is I wouldn't want to like piss off Sean or anything. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Sean wouldn't care, but that's the only it would be pretty hilarious though.
Well, I think you're like, well, guess I'm not going to have dinner with Sean anymore. Rip.
But just imagine if we had like Merab and Sean on, and like, remember when UFC used to do those face-to-face like John Jones and I would love. As we're talking about this, maybe after this, I might maybe let's get it set up because it would be fucking hilarious if you play the mediator between the fake Sean O'Malley and Merab. I say we do it for MightyCast.
For the content. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's down. I met the guy, super cool guy. And at the end of the day, people gotta understand, they're just doing their best to build the fight up, because at the end of the day, that's how we make our money, is when you guys buy the pay-per-view. And so if Merab and the fake Sean can create this content in order to bring more eyeballs to the fight. And we all know Merab respects. That's one thing I love about Merab. He's very, very respectful to all his opponents. And so is Aljo. But once you start going back and forth and talking shit, it is what it is. But the thing I love about like the way I live my lifestyle is that my relationship with Sean O'Malley is my relationship, and my relationship with Aljamain Sterling is my relationship, and same thing with Merab. So if Merab and Sean don't like each other, doesn't mean I have to stop liking Sean, or I have to stop liking Merab. Like, that's their own relationship. I have a good relationship with each three of those individuals, and I think it'll be fun to make that type of content. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. If we do that content, we will drop it on the MightyCast, or it might be a nice little spectacle. We'll see what happens. Okay, moving forward. Khamzat is out of his fight with Robert Whittaker. Now, a lot of you listeners, I don't know how far back your knowledge goes, but Khamzat reminds me of an athlete who competed in the UFC. His name was Zabit. And Zabit was also undefeated, and he doesn't compete anymore because each time he would get ready for a fight, he would always have to pull out because he will suffer an injury, or he'll suffer health problems. Now, I think, and you guys can quote me if I'm wrong, I think Zabit had something wrong with his diaphragm or his heart. He said he would have like seizures, not like neurological seizures, but like chest seizures. How when he would start to train, his chest would seize up. So he retired from mixed martial arts. Now, when I look at Khamzat, I'm not saying Khamzat is going to retire, but I would not be surprised if Khamzat were to retire, because each time this guy gets ready for a fight, each time he ends up in a hospital. Now, a lot of you guys can understand when athletes get ready for a fight, we spoke about this earlier when I was talking about Conor McGregor, your body breaks down, not just your body, but also your immune system. A lot of athletes are more susceptible to sickness, staph, MRSA. Luke Rockhold's another athlete who gets staph a lot. Craig Jones talks about it as well. He gets staph when he starts getting ready for a competition. Not all the time, but it happens more rarely because he's gotten it in the past. So when your immune system goes down, when you're getting ready for a fight, you are susceptible to being sick. And I feel like with Khamzat, that's what happens. Like this guy was, when he jumped on the scene in the UFC, he was fighting so regularly and taking no damage. Now we're lucky to see if he fights once a year. It's almost like, Costa, when he jumped on the scene, he was fighting everybody. Now it's very rare. He backed out with an injury in his elbow and it was staph. So it's very unfortunate, but I think this athlete, one of a kind, I think we might see him, maybe 2 or 3 more years. And I think he's going to ride off in the sunset and look to do something else with his life and his career, because this guy keeps getting ready for a fight and he always gets injured and has to pull out. And it's sad to see it, to hear it. I'd be curious to see what was his sickness that put him in the hospital.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't blame you as much for Zabit's last name, but Magomed Sharapov is his last name.
Just keep talking.
Shit, I was muted. But
Amateur, straight fucking amateur chat.
But I don't blame you as much for this last name, but it's Zabit Magomed Sharapov is the last name.
Yeah, Zabit. Yeah. Yeah, I knew the last name was, but I wasn't gonna try to say it because I don't want the whole fucking chat. Yeah. Everybody calls him Abraham Lincoln, but I call him Zabit.
Yeah, and so also to follow up, I guess the new rumor, like someone in Khamzat's team said food poisoning, but I personally don't.
Fuck,
yeah, I don't buy that. Yeah, I don't buy that one bit because obviously you're a fighter, so I don't have to tell you. But being around fighters enough for their camp, they know way too much of what goes into their body and a strict diet, especially when we're talking about 2 weeks out of that big of a fight. It was not food poisoning. I'm not sure where that came from, but I could confidently say that's not what it was. I don't know if you agree with me, but I was like, no
dude,
way.
I totally agree with you. I got water poisoned before I fought Kyojo Horiguchi on a way to the plane and on the week of the fight, and I just took 2 days off. And honestly, that water poison helped me make fucking weight. Make 125. Granted, I didn't feel my best, but we still got the job done. We still got, we created a record and got that $50,000 bonus check. So I don't think it was food poison. If it was, I'll be very shocked. But even like Mikey Misimichi, he got food poisoning. I don't know if he pulled out of his fight or whatever, but he got food poisoning in Thailand. So, everybody's body reacts different to food poisoning. But here's the thing. He pulled out of a fight, and I remember he ended up in the hospital, and looked like the man got fucking hives. Like his whole face blew up. He had all these stuff. It almost like he had hand, foot, and mouth. You don't know what that is because you don't have children, but it looked like that all over his body. So I'm not sure if it was food poisoning, but I honestly think it's more of his body. Just the immune system gets shut down. He was trying to make 170. Now he's at 185. I don't know what to think, but hopefully, once again, I hope he comes out and says, hey guys, I was getting ready for my fight. This is what happened. I got food poison and it just took me out. I was out for 4 to 5 days. I didn't feel comfortable going through with the fight because I want to be at my best. Then perfect. Shit, no harm, no foul. You're straight up honest. I don't blame you. This is your livelihood. This is how you make your money. And this is your brand. You wanted to pull out because you didn't feel comfortable. Boom, perfect. Now, people out there are going to say, oh, he's a pussy, he's a bitch, da-da-da-da. Then they weren't your fans to begin with. But if you're always transparent and honest about why you make decisions on here's the key word, ladies and gentlemen, and the viewers, your career, that's all that matters, right? And so for me, I highly doubt it. It was food poisoning. I think it was something else. If it was food poisoning, what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, and I think the larger thing, I certainly hope it's not the end of the road for Khamzat because, He just seems like a guy who very much has that potential to win a title, but there's just been, whether it's the injuries or the illnesses or just not, let's be honest, not being able to fight in America is the new obstacle that's very difficult to get over. But I think it just wouldn't feel right if this was the end of the road for him. With Zabit, I think there's a lot, and Zabit was really good, don't get me wrong. A lot with him is like we haven't seen him for so long, so this legend of him is being built up more and more and more. But with Khamzat, I really do think there is a champion in there somewhere. And not to say Zabit couldn't be either, but with Khamzat, I really think there is whether it's middleweight or if he had the discipline to go to welterweight, and we just have not got to see it for whatever reason. It's a shame if this is the last we're seeing of him. I hope it's not, but health is obviously the most important thing. I really, and a lot of people are being critical too when they didn't know what happened at first. There was a lot of people being like, "Oh, cut him from UFC," and all this stuff. Yeah, it really is just unfortunate. I think it's the combination of, look what happened with McGregor, right? We waited so long for him that when he did pull out, it's like, what the hell? We waited. Like you never fight, and that's what happens with Khamzat because he can't fight in America right now. It's not possible. So
why is that? Why can't he fight in America?
So I'm not sure if all of this is like confirmed or not, but I believe it's because of his ties to a dictator in Chechnya. And yeah, gotcha. So it's just the government is kind of, I guess, playing it safe or not. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not Ariel Helwani or something. I don't know the specifics, but I do know enough. Whatever the reason is, he cannot fight in America right now. So that's why we're having him have to wait for these cards that are in Abu Dhabi or in Saudi Arabia. And then no, exactly. So if you combine that with, okay, he does get sick and he does get hurt, that's a really bad combination because now, for all we know, he feels really good right now. And he's like, shit, if there was a fight in
2
Abu
weeks
Dhabi,
from now,
maybe I could do it, but there's not going to be another one until, August 3rd is going to be the Corey Sandhagen Usman, but I mean, he's not going to be on that card. That card is already stacked. But either way, the point I'm making is it's like, fuck, you just missed your chance to fight in Saudi Arabia. Now you have to wait for the next one. So that's what's difficult, but I really, he's one of my favorite. He's up there with McGregor, as crazy as it sounds. Of like, when that dude is fighting, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen because he's a wrestler who tries to take dudes out, which you don't see often. Yeah. Like, it's not wrestling to take him down, hold him there. Like, he's trying to, okay, I'm taking you down, I'm going to finish you immediately. And I have a lot of respect for that. So it sucks if we're not going to see him again or not going to see him again for a long time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing people need to realize too is that there's so many athletes in mixed martial arts like Zabit, Stefan Struve. He had a heart condition that he did most of his career with, and then when he finally got surgery, it was open heart surgery. Can't remember what exactly it was, but it was with his heart. He got that, and he felt 100 times better, and he was able to get through training. So whatever Khamzat is going through, I agree with you. I hope it's at the end of him. But once again, that's why we take they take all the precaution, even myself, blood work, EKG, CT scans, MRI, all that stuff. And I just feel he can't get out of his own way. There's a lot of athletes in mixed martial arts who can't get out of their own way because their body can't maintain the output, or not the output, but the workload of what it takes to get your body ready for a main fight. And the fact that he can't fight on U.S. soil, that also puts another, I guess you say, a hurdle or speed bump in him trying to become a world champion in mixed martial arts because he can't fight in America. So, like you said, if he can't only fight in Abu Dhabi or over there, then it's like, well, August 3rd. But you never know. They might try to squeeze him on there and make that card even more stacked for the August 3rd, Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. So
yeah, and I will say, I guess UFC, Nick Pappas, he was giving me some notes off camera. There is going to be in October in Abu Dhabi pay-per-view, so maybe we'll get him there. I really do hope we see him again, and I think once he gets that situation figured out where, let's say he wins the title, right?
Yep.
What do you do then? He was not going to defend it in America.
Well, no T-Mobile Arena, no Las Vegas, no MSG. So, I mean,
like, remember when John Jones popped and they moved the card to a different state?
Yeah,
so that,
so he can fight.
that's going to be Khamzat all over again of just, we have this pay-per-view here. We got Russia pay-per-view. We got the first Dagestan pay-per-view. Like, but no, all jokes aside, though, I do really hope to see him because it would suck he gets shit on a lot, but the dude hasn't lost. Like, he's had some sloppy performances. People talk about his gas tank. He barely beat a Kamaru Usman who filled in on last second notice, but the dude is still a beast no matter what anyone wants to say.
Yeah, absolute beast. But here's another thing too. Think about that. When he fought Kamaru Usman on short notice, he had a full training camp, but he had to fight Kamaru Usman on a short notice. Who knows how his body was going into that fight? Did he have any type of sickness? Was he coming off antibiotics, right? When I fought Tatsumiti Wada in Manila, I was just coming off antibiotics, and I was on antibiotics for like 12 weeks. And that's just the shit that us athletes go through when we're getting ready for fights. We come up with these sickness. You look at Gordon Ryan, he's had so many damn tummy bugs. The man can't stay healthy enough. Now he's getting ready for ADCC, but there's just so much that goes into play when we're getting ready for these fights. And with Khamzat always having, issues with his cardio, I'm telling you, man, there has to be I'm pretty sure there's an underlying health issue that he hasn't figured out what it is yet. I'm sure once he does, he's going to become a better athlete, or we're going to see him retired. Like, I feel comfortable saying that because this is a reoccurring thing with this athlete that you have to look at the writing on the wall. Like, someone who keeps on getting sick or injured, food poison, hives or whatever it may be. I'm telling you, there's an underlying issue there. And once they figure it out, we can move forward with his career. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry to, dampen the mood with all this bad news. Conor getting out, Khamzat out. Let's talk about some great news. Our man, my favorite, Izzy Adesanya is making his return back at UFC 305. Take it on DDP Dricus. Now, I
want to say something we talked about off camera.
Okay.
People shit on you so bad.
I don't give a fuck.
For your bias of Israel Adesanya.
I love him.
One thing I want to say. DJ is not a journalist. Like, of course he has friends. Like, what is he? Is he not gonna root for Israel Adesanya to win fights? And is he not gonna, when he does his breakdowns, maybe be a little bit biased towards stuff Adesanya does? Like, I think it's kind of silly, but I want to say I do acknowledge. I see the comments. I know people think you love Israel Adesanya and you're biased, and I want to.
I am biased. I can be biased.
That's the point I want to make. I think it will make.
What's wrong with that?
I think it'll be easier for people to like absorb knowing, like, yes, DJ is biased. Yes, he loves Israel. He is friends with him. Loves watching him. Loves his style. So. Yeah, that will continue moving forward.
Yeah, get off my black ass. I love the guy. I just sent him a message today, and I say, hey man, I'm sending you all the best energy. I wish you nothing but a great camp. Train hard. Be smart, be dynamic. And that's a big fight, right? Like, my first initial reaction to this is that this just shows that Izzy is still one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts. Not just in mixed martial arts, but in the middleweight division. Izzy's coming off a loss, and he's getting a title shot. Think about that. Now, Robert Whittaker could have got the title shot because he actually came off an amazing performance against Costa. But obviously, Whittaker is about to fight this weekend, and there's nobody else for DDP to fight. Obviously, he could have fought Sean Strickland, but I think Sean Strickland, I think everybody can agree, wasn't the very best fight. It was very lackluster, right? So I think Izzy getting this opportunity to fight DDP for the belt, and like he said, he's coming back to take heads. He's not looking to become a champion again. He's been a champion for a very, very long time. I think he probably has the most consecutive title defenses in the middleweight division behind Anderson Silva and in today's era in mixed martial arts. I think Volkanovski might be ahead of him or right next to him. So I think this matchup with DDP versus Izzy. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little, a teaser. If Izzy doesn't go out there and if Izzy isn't able to disrupt DDP's plotty how DDP, he comes there and he goes southpaw to orthodox. If Izzy cannot disrupt that, and if Izzy doesn't take the fight to him, I think it's going to be a long night for Izzy. What do I mean by Izzy taking the fight to DDP? He's got to force the fight. Now, when me and Izzy talked about this, he doesn't have to because his stand-up is so damn good and he's so good at controlling the void. But for me, eventually somebody's going to figure out how to not overextend and not bite on your feints, which we saw Sean Strickland, who's very rudimentary. He has that Philly shell style, who can just walk Izzy down, and Izzy's going to go lateral, put his back against the cage, and wait for you to get drawn in. If that happens and DDP's able to do that to Izzy, I think, and if DDP can get the fight to the ground past Izzy's guard, I think DDP is going to stay as a champion. Now, I want to see Izzy's black ass retain that belt, take heads, come back. So I'm hoping we see a new version of Izzy. Izzy, who's going to come forward, push the pace, get him in a clinch, wrestle a little more. But once again, I am biased because I enjoy Izzy. We are friends, and I want to see him succeed. So, but, I think it's good to see him get the opportunity to fight for the belt again. And I still think he's one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts today and in the middleweight division.
Yeah, and I'll say what I find interesting is that I guess Pereira versus Jiri was supposed to be the main event. As crazy as it sounds, it was supposed to be the main event of this card, which I find that hard to believe, but that's what Alex Pereira says. I
think Alex P, it makes sense because he's over there right now. He's in... I think he's in Australia because we've been trying to get him on the podcast and he's been busy going around that area doing like a tour. So it makes sense. He's over there now and he's hanging out and he's kind of doing a little, not advertising. What's the word I go for? A media tour over there, I guess you could say. And so it makes sense. And yeah, I think all the content that he's creating over there, everybody seems to love him. So I think it makes sense if he was going to be on that headliner on that card. But, Alex P got the call to step up and replace Conor McGregor for UFC 303. And I think it's a good replacement. And I just think Alex P is becoming one of my favorites to watch just because when he does say stuff, when he does talk shit, it's good shit talking, right? Like what he said about Jamal Hill, he's like, I don't know why he's upset now. Maybe he just woke up from the knockout. I was like, oh, why'd you do it like that? Right? I mean, he's not a person that goes out of his way to talk shit, but when somebody comes after him, he's like, I guess. And then when they showed the background of him getting knocked out with Izzy, how he would say, hey, dude, like, it happens. And how many people have we knocked out and ruined their night? And my night was ruined tonight. But hey, you know what? I'm good. My wife is good. My kids are good. And brother, like we're in a brand new place right now. Like my life has changed. He's one of the most exciting and popular athletes in mixed martial arts in the short time he's been in mixed martial arts. So I think I'm not shocked that Alex P was supposed to be that main event for UFC 305 in Perth.
Yeah, and I actually forgot. I don't want to brush over as much as I wish we would have been previewing Khamzat versus Whittaker this week. We forgot to talk about the Saudi Arabia card that is still happening this weekend, which is another one of your boys, Robert Whittaker, in the main event. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was another nice job by UFC, which it got criticized by some people, but Ikram. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Ikram, here we go. Oh, go ahead. Here we go, Michael. Come on, let's see you fucking do it.
Ikram Aliskerov.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Wrong.
Nick, you got to find out how to pronounce it. I think it's Aliskerov. Ikram, I believe it is Ikram though. Ikram Aliskerov.
Just say Ikram. Just say Ikram.
So either way, what's interesting about him, his only loss in his professional career is versus Khamzat. Mm-hmm. Granted, it was a huge fucking knockout. I mean, he got knocked the fuck out versus him. But I will say, I saw a stat that he's the only person that Khamzat hasn't taken down in his career in a fight. I thought that was crazy. So he has takedown defense. I think it's a great job by UFC on short notice. I think it's an interesting fight that is much closer than people are giving it credit for. So I'm not trying to just pray. DJ, I'm as critical as anyone, but when I saw that fight, I was like, shit, that fucking makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes great sense. I think even Robert Whittaker said he hasn't heard of this athlete until the matchup was being made. So obviously big fan of Robert Whittaker. I think for him, you know, Bobby Knuckles, this is what people love about him. He fights anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I think for him to take this fight on short notice, obviously I give him the upper hand because he's been training for this fight. I don't know what Ikram has been doing the last 6 to 7 weeks. I'm assuming training, but is he going to be peak when he fights this Saturday against Robert Whittaker? We'll find out. And the card is
I want to say he was supposed to fight this past weekend, so he's more than ready.
Oh, so then it's a perfect replacement. And you know, like the UFC said, if you beat Robert Whittaker, your life's going to change. And I think Robert Whittaker, it's a big test for him to fight a dark horse that nobody really knows and who's very good. His only losses to Khamzat. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to watch the fight, and if the fight is great, we'll do, instant reaction. So make sure you guys come back and look for that and watch it. But
and I'd also be remiss if I didn't say right behind me, my boy, Kelvin Gastelum. Mm-hmm. He's fighting in the co-main event against Daniel Rodriguez. I sent him off to his flight.
How's he looking
last week?
Here's the question: is he going to make weight?
That I will say that's the most intriguing thing for me of this camp. His last fight, making weight was the fight. That was the big. Then it's not even a joke. He says it too. It was so difficult to do that first 185 to 170 transformation, and the fight itself was so brutal to make 170. This time around, he's doing it much easier. He looks great physically. Like that was some of the best shape I've ever, because I wasn't around him when he was 170. You know, I've just started being friends with Kelvin a couple years ago, so it's some of the best shape I've personally seen him in. So I'm very confident with this camp. Funny backstory: he's fighting Daniel Rodriguez. Kelvin and I actually partied with him in Vegas once. Yeah. And no, he's a nice. And even Kelvin said it too. Like D-Rod is a great dude. Like he's a nice dude, and obviously it's. But when the fight's on, the fight's on. But afterwards, he seems like a pretty chill, cool dude. But I'm confident for Kelvin, and I'm happy for him. I would have loved for him to be on an undercard of Whittaker Khamzat. So it pains me that a little bit the profile of the event was taken down, but it's still a stacked card. We have a great co-main event as well. So pulling up the full card, I'm going to list off some. I think it's a pretty interesting card. So we got the main event, Ikram Aliskerov versus Robert Whittaker, and even the lines are showing he's not a huge favorite. Whittaker's only minus 130, which I know, DJ, you're not great at the whole lines and gambling and stuff, but that basically means it's pretty close to a 50-50 matchup. Slight favorite to Whittaker. Then we got Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. That is like as close as you're going to get to a guaranteed knockout. Really, Alexander Volkov is a very, very talented kickboxer in the heavyweight division, like just extremely gifted, and the issues he's had is with the wrestlers. So I am intrigued if this fight is just stand up. And you obviously remember Sergey Pavlovich went against Tom Aspinall, and Aspinall did what he did to him. But this is his first fight since then. I think that's a very interesting heavyweight matchup, and who knows what happens in the heavyweight division. We're waiting forever for John Jones Stipe, so I think the winner of that could have an interesting fight after this. Then we have my boy right here, Kelvin Gastelum. Woo! Let's go! He's going against Daniel Rodriguez. Kelvin's minus 250, so it's pretty big odds right there. They're thinking that KG's gonna pull off the win. And so then the other fight I wanted to talk about, Shera Magomedov. He's the guy who kind of has I don't know if he's blind in one eye or whatever it is, but he's made a lot of noise in his UFC debut. Really talented striker, but has a lot to learn in the grappling game. So I'm not sure who his opponent is. His name's Jolton Lutterbach. So that will be an interesting one. But so overall, really interesting card. I think it would have, of course, been a little bit more interesting with Khamzat there, but that's pretty fucking stacked for a fight night. And all I want to say, go Kelvin, you're gonna fucking kick his ass. Woo!
Well, I think, as everybody always say, is like if it's free, it's for me. So I think to get a card like that, that's free. I mean, why not watch it? You know, especially since Bob Whittaker is going to be in the main event. You had KG in there as well, another fan, a friend of the MightyCast. So I don't know, man. I think we covered all that stuff, man. I mean, obviously, I still to this day think that, you know, boxing is more exciting than mixed martial arts. Okay, let me finish.
We forgot to even talk about that.
Yeah. Let me finish. The Tank Davis versus Frank Martyn, the energy in there. First, I want to start off that back in the day, the UFC used to have its events at the MGM Mandalay Bay. It would have it at the biggest hotels in Las Vegas. Now all the events in the UFC are either the Apex Center or it is at the fucking T-Mobile Arena, which I'm not sad about, but there's something to be said that you wake up, you go to the pool, you get dark and get your, drink on, go back to the hotel, you shower. After you shower, you go directly to dinner, get a nice meal in you, and then you walk downstairs at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, go down there and watch the fights. After the fight, you come up from the MGM Grand Garden Arena and then you go get another meal. And then after that, you go to the fucking nightclub. So I like how easy and convenient it is to just watch a fight at a hotel at the event center. And then let's talk about the energy in the arena. When Tank Davis knocked out Frank Martyn with that right hook and that left uppercut, that right left, and then hit him with the left hand. Oh my God, that shit was amazing. And now you look at the storyline, right? You look at the storyline. Who does Tank fight next? Does he fight Shakur Stevenson? Does he fight Devin Haney? Does he fight and rematch Ryan Garcia? There's so much more for him to do, and he's always exciting. He's never one of those guys who comes out and fights and it's boring, right? Like, you look at Sean Strickland, how much people were super excited to watch him fight. Sean Strickland's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, da 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 da, and gets out there and he starts marching across the void. It's like, who wants to see Sean? I mean, as a spectator who covers the sport, now it's like, I'm not looking forward to seeing Sean fight again. I am and I'm not. If I had to put on in my hand on a scale, who do I want to see fight next? I'd rather see Tank Davis fight next than Sean Strickland, because you don't know how he's going to knock out his opponent. He always takes the fight to his opponents. He goes out there and he risks it. He crosses the void and takes all those shots, and then he lands that beautiful combination knockout. So for me, I still think right now, for me personally, boxing is more exciting than MMA. Now, when I say that, when I look forward, what's going to happen next in boxing, it's very hard for me to say because I don't know what's going to be. Oh, actually, I do know what's next. Terrence Crawford taking on Canelo Alvarez. That is going to be a fucking banger fight. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, you got to start watching all the sports, because sometimes when you don't have a banger in the weekend in the UFC or one championship, you got a banger in boxing. So, I
like how you're just asking for it in this episode. We pray. So let's go through this. We praise Israel Adesanya and confess your love for him. Yep. Then we shit on Sean Strickland a little bit.
I didn't shit on Sean Strickland. Please, everybody in the comment, you tell me if I'm a fan of every single athlete out there. I am. Right? I don't have the best performances, right? But I think I got more finishes in the UFC than Sean Strickland does. I think that's factual, right? I think we can say that.
He has more strikes than you, though.
Yeah, it's because he's not knocking. That's very easy to say. He hasn't knocked in.
Pull up the stats. I want to find out the exact number of how many more significant strikes that Sean Strickland has than Demetrious Johnson.
I think he has more than a lot of people in the UFC.
He's second all time. He only doesn't have more than Max Holloway.
Exactly. I don't think that's a good thing to brag about. It means you're not finishing nobody. You're not submitting. You're not knocking anybody out. You do what you do. But I think everybody in the comments, and this is the thing, I think everybody can agree his last fight he even said it was lackluster. So everything I'm saying, it's not like it's not out there, and he hasn't said it himself. So if I had to put on one hand and the other, if people want to watch Sean Strickland, they can watch Sean Strickland. If you have the opportunity to watch Tank Davis, I would watch Tank Davis. I think everybody, and my wife would actually say the exact same thing. My fucking kids would say the exact same thing, right? It's just two different athletes. It's just two different sports, two different gifts, and that's all facts, right? Like, I think everything I'm saying is good. So that's not shitting on Sean Strickland. That's just speaking factual. And I think, when you look at who do you want to see fight next, I think a lot of people want to see Tank Davis to see who he's going to fight next.
Okay, so I have it up right now. 6 strikes landed. Sean Strickland, 2,069. That is second all time. Okay, and then if we go to flyweight, 6 strikes landed all time. You are first all time, 1,059. 6 strikes landed. And let's give you a round of applause. First in flyweight history, Demetrious Johnson. You are ahead of Brandon Moreno. You're actually the only flyweight with 1,006 strikes landed. So yeah, it is about double. He's landed about double. And
here's the thing too. I was in the UFC from 2012 to 2018. So 6 years. No, 2011. Excuse me, 2011 to 2018. So that's 7 years in the UFC. 6 of those years, I was a fucking champion. Put that in your cup and smoke it, chat.
The other thing I wanted to reference is the whole the UFC versus boxing thing, and people shit on you a lot for that too. But I want to give some props to boxing. Well, here's the thing. On your average pay-per-view, right? I think UFC crushes boxing. We're only seeing one fight that really you give a shit about. Even though I will shout out the card that you went to. Shout out to PBC, first of all, for hooking you up, flying you out there, having you ringside. They actually did have David Benavidez in the co-main event. That is much better than you'll normally see from a boxing card. But I will say, my own 2 cents on it, I will give boxing all the credit in the world for finally giving us the matchups that we want to see. This was the issue for years and years and years. The complaining of this guy's not fighting this guy. Well, guess what? We just had Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. We're potentially going to get Tank Davis versus Lomachenko, which I get Lomachenko. It should have happened probably 5 years ago, but I'm very intrigued. I don't know about you, but I would love to see that fight.
I would love to watch that fight.
So, and we're seeing some of the most talented pound for pound guys that we've seen in years. Look at Tank Davis. Look at Terrence Crawford. Look at Usyk. Is it Usyk or Usyk? I think it's Usyk.
You said Usyk. You said it right.
Oh yeah. Okay. So either way, but so I think we're just seeing not only more talent than we've seen in years in boxing, but we're getting those big, huge matchups. And the way boxing works as a sport, you're gonna have that live up to expectations a little bit more often than your average UFC fight. I think that's kind of the like, I can't think of one of the big boxing matchups we've got that didn't deliver recently. I will say, okay, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence was supposed to be this like mega matchup, and Terrence Crawford just beat the shit out of him. But it made it such a great fight because it's like, holy fuck, this guy is so good. So I will give that to boxing. Not only are we getting the bigger matchups, they tend to deliver. And for me, I love all of it right now. It's on fire, UFC boxing. So that's my biggest thing. I'm not going to say one's better than the other, but I did not give a shit about boxing until this past year. I'm going to say that much. And now I'm into it. I'm into the big fights. So they've won me over as a fan.
Well, I think the fans got to understand. I've been part of the sport of mixed martial arts and watching it since 2006, right? Like when you're watching Pride and you have Vanderlei Silva, Shogun Rua, Rampage Jackson, Chuck Liddell, where you have a tournament where it's like 16 man and you got banger after banger and they're going to fight within 3 months, and then it's a 10-minute round. Like I fucking watched the sport since 2006. Now, when you're covering this sport and you watch it, I only tend to watch the bigger fights. And right now, obviously the Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat, that was the biggest fight I was looking forward to. Now that's not happening. Now Conor versus Michael Chandler, that's not happening. Now we have Alex P versus Jiri. Okay, that's a big fight. I'll watch it. Diego versus Brian Ortega, I'll watch it. But everybody underneath it.
Yeah, and I want to say something too. I'm too lazy to edit it, but I called him Diego Nunes. And I want to say, like, do you remember Diego Nunes?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
he had a tattoo. He had tattoos.
Then why didn't you correct me?
I wanted you to look stupid, like you make me look stupid when everybody breaks down the comments. That's why.
Diego
Lopez,
Nunes. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. I know. Diego Nunes is a Brazilian. He fought at 145. He was a good fighter in the UFC. So, but no. Don't edit it. I hope you don't. Yeah. So, but there's like when I look at like as I sit down and I watch, I'm a fan of all the sports. Shit, we got Jake Paul taking on Mike Perry. I'm super excited about that. Like, that's going to be an opportunity for Mike Perry to get out there and get his hands on one of the Paul brothers. And it'll also give Jake Paul an opportunity to fight somebody who is very dangerous. You know, he's not the best boxer in the boxing gloves, but I guarantee you when he comes forward, when they fight each other, he's going to be able to put the pressure on Jake Paul and put it to him like nobody else has. And if Jake Paul and Mike Perry were to fight in bare knuckle fighting, we all know who's going to win that because Mike Perry is very good about breaking his opponents down over time. So I think as we do the MightyCast and we do the stuff on his YouTube channel, we cover all of combat sports, not just the UFC. And I'm always going to be honest and transparent about the people I am biased towards. And I think, once again, I'll say it, every single athlete who steps foot in the octagon, ring, cage, in the one circle, PFL, Bellator, whatever it may be, they're all amazing. Now, we all have our deficiencies, and I'm including myself in that boat. But I love how people like to say, oh, he hates John Strickland. Oh, he hates Costa. Or I don't hate anybody. What does me hating on somebody do for my career and my brand? I want Sean Strickland to win. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to go home with the biggest bag. But I'm not going to cater to the audience and give them what they want to hear. I'm going to give my honest assessment and my honest opinion on all the athletes. Shit, hell, I just said if Izzy don't come out and stop DDP, and if Izzy reverts back to his old self and go lateral, which we could see that, he will probably lose against DDP, right? And that's me being honest, right? Like if I were to fight again, if I don't fix the holes in my game, I will probably lose too. So for me, that's why I love doing this, because I do get a lot of hate from a lot of the fans out there. But if you guys are hating on me, like my boy Joseph Benavidez said, that means I'm doing something right. So boys, if you enjoyed this episode of the MightyCast,
wait. We didn't talk about the most important topic.
Oh God,
of the week.
Okay,
the biggest fight of the century that was not on camera. Bradley Martyn versus Logan Paul.
Yeah, I mean, my honest opinion, I'm not too. I mean, what do you want me to say about it?
Who won? Who do you? First of all, what do you think actually happened off camera? What do you think happened? How long did it last? Who won?
I think if I had to guess, I think Logan Paul did. Logan Paul is an athlete. He does wrestling, which takes a lot of athletic ability. And I think it's good that these guys did it off camera or did it on camera. It doesn't matter. Obviously, there's another snippet of it going around that they wanted it off camera because these guys are protecting their brand, right? I think Logan Paul would do it on camera. I think for them to do it off camera, it's basically them protecting their brand. But if I had to guess who won, I think Logan Paul did. How long it lasted, I would say maybe 3 minutes. I don't think it went past 3 minutes. They didn't have any gear on. I don't know if they punched each other. They could have just wrestled. But, once again, I'm a big fan of both those guys, especially Logan Paul.
Nick just texted me a play-by-play of, according to Logan and his boy Mike, this is what went down. So they decided on no cameras.
Yep.
And what happened was Bradley goes for a guillotine, doesn't get it. Then Logan Paul mounts him and just started bouncing his head off the canvas with some ground and pound. And it only lasted a minute, I guess.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm not a big fan of saying, playing telephone, like she said, he said, we said, whatever.
Yeah, I love how it's no cameras and then we're still able to give like a detailed play-by-play of what happened is a little shady to me.
I'd rather just be like, hey, you know what? I'm happy they were to squash it. They were boys. Let boys be boys. It's kind of like Mayweather talking about Gervonta Davis taking on Haney in his sparring matches, and he goes, "Oh man, Haney was working him, Tank was working him, da 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 da." Then he finally dropped the video, and we all can watch for ourselves and make our own opinions. So for me, I don't want to spend too much energy speculating on what happened between Bradley Martyn and Logan Paul, but I'm glad they hashed it out. I'm glad they're friends now, and I'm glad they can move forward with building each other's brand or whatever they want to do.
Did you know Bradley Martyn's 260 though?
I did. He is 260.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
But that 260 don't matter when you find somebody who's the same size as you and they're athletic and
you
just big.
You went. I love how people still want to see that matchup when you went against a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and you threw him and tapped him with the bow and arrow, right? Is that what it's called?
Bow and arrow. But hey, yes, like they said though, he isn't 260, so it didn't count. But like I said, I think that match between me and Bradley, it might happen one day, it might not. There's a lot of stuff like I got to make sure I be careful about, because Bradley Martyn, he is 260 and he's a big boy. So I could get injured if he was to fall on me, land on me, or whatever. We just saw what Eddie Hall did to those two little boys, and that can absolutely happen to me, and who knows how things will go. But we just got to see what happens. But I think the Logan Paul and Bradley Martyn thing is done. It squashed it, and I'm happy those guys were really B-boys, I guess you can say. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the MightyCast. We wanted to kind of come on here, and a lot of stuff happened over the week that was literally sitting on our minds, talking about like the cancellation of Conor versus Chandler, Khamzat, falling out of his fight. Now we getting Whittaker fighting, and that card's free on TV. Alex P stepping up on short notice to save 303. And then we also had the announcement of UFC 305, Izzy getting his opportunity to fight DDP. A lot of stuff, kind of happened. I was like, what? When we get on here, vibe out and talk about this. And obviously, Gervonta Davis taking on Frank Martyn was pretty dope. I was there live. And so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. And also, hit the bell when we go live. I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is my co-host, Michael Wansover. And we will see you guys at the next episode of the MightyCast.